It was 3:17 a.m. when she thought I was asleep. I lay motionless, my back turned to her, keeping my breathing slow and steady. The door creaked faintly, followed by the soft press of footsteps against the carpet. Then came the quiet thud of heels being slipped off, cautious, deliberate, like a teenager sneaking home after curfew. A faint scent of unfamiliar cologne clung to her skin, one I'd never worn. She moved like someone with something to hide, convinced the dark could conceal the guilt she carried. But I wasn't sleeping. I hadn't been for a long time. Every sudden late meeting, every vague excuse, every shift in her schedule had stacked into certainty. She eased herself onto the mattress beside me, letting out a satisfied sigh, the sound of someone who'd had the kind of night they wanted. And that was the moment it became absolute. Not just that she'd been lying, but that she didn't even feel shame. She mistook my silence for ignorance. She believed she could keep spinning her stories forever. She had no idea I'd already uncovered everything. Bank charges from places she swore she never went, a second phone tucked away, even a hotel booked under an alias, a name she once used back when she was still winning me over. That part cut the deepest. The same tricks she'd used to charm me were now being used to deceive me. I didn't explode that night. I didn't demand answers. I waited, because sometimes silence cuts sharper than a shouted accusation. That evening, while she was off at yet another last-minute networking dinner, I made my move. I emptied my side closet, clothes, shoes, even the wedding photo she'd insisted stay centered on the shelf. The bed was stripped on my side. The dresser drawers were bare. The safe cleared out. My name vanished from the lease, the bills, even the Netflix account. And then there was the envelope. It sat on her pillow, waiting for when she'd turn to kiss me goodnight. Inside were signed divorce papers and a single line written in bold black ink. I hope he was worth it. I didn't stay to see her open it. I parked my car down the street, watching as the bedroom light flickered on a few minutes later. The blinds were slightly open. I could make out her silhouette frozen beside the bed. I pictured her fingers brushing the envelope, her breath catching, her shoulders tightening. I didn't need to see her face. I'd imagined it 100 times. The shock, the sudden weight of realization. The first moment she truly knew I wasn't as blind as she believed. Her calls started before dawn, 30 in total. The voicemails were all the same, panicked, pleading, edged with disbelief. A desperate voice that once felt like home. I didn't respond. I wouldn't give her the comfort of a fight. I'd already spent too long pouring myself into someone who drained me dry. Instead, I checked into a quiet guest house on the edge of town. The owner handed me a key with a kind smile, no questions asked. That first morning, I woke without the weight of suspicion pressing down on me. I brewed coffee, sat by the window, and watched the sunrise over a world where I was no longer tethered to her lies. Freedom came with its own ache. Walking away is never clean. That night, I cried. I shouted into a pillow. I mourned not just my marriage, but the version of myself who had stayed too long. And yet, even in the middle of the pain, something solid remained. I had chosen truth, and that was worth the grief. 2 weeks passed without a word from me. Friends began reaching out, unsure what had happened. My answer was always the same. Ask her. Word spread quickly. She wouldn't admit the betrayal, but she made sure everyone knew how I'd left. Cold, sudden. As though she'd expected me to stay and swallow her lies forever. Then one morning, I opened the cabin door, and there she was. No makeup, hair pulled back, eyes swollen from sleepless nights. She looked at me the way you look at someone you once knew in another lifetime, uncertain, aching, desperate for something familiar. "Please," she whispered, "can we talk?" I stepped aside, not from pity, but for closure. She moved inside slowly, scanning the bare wooden walls. We sat across from each other. She began to explain how it wasn't supposed to happen, how she felt something missing inside herself, how the other man made her feel alive in ways she thought I couldn't. I listened quietly as her voice cracked and tears welled. When she finally fell silent, I spoke the only 7 words I'd rehearsed since the night I knew. You lost me the moment you lied. The room went still. She reached for my hand the way she once reached for forgiveness. But I didn't move. Her fingers hovered in the empty space between us, just like all the promises she'd left unkept. I stood, walked to the door, and held it open. "Goodbye," I said. She didn't beg. She just stepped out into the cold morning, finally beginning to understand what it means to have nothing left to hold on to.